as I host The Medical Explorer right here on Cable Channel 5, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
And following that, Dr. Peppercorn joined me, Matt Lane, along with Kari Hardwick for Hub Magazine Live at 7 p.m. Tuesday nights look great on Channel 5.
It's Cable Channel 5, your local origination station serving the greater Hub area.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the Yuba City Medical Explorer. My name is Dr. Robert Peppercorn, and my specialty is dermatology. I serve as host of this program. The purpose of the Medical Explorer is to explore the medical communities of Yuba and Sutter counties, and to take you behind the scenes of medical care practices in our local area. I've been looking forward to the subject of tonight's program for a long time. Tonight, the Strategic Air Command has given us permission to explore behind the security gates of Beale Air Force Base. Our Channel 5 cameras will allow us to see the unique medical services offered by the United States Air Force Hospital, Beale. It'll be a fascinating tour, and I hope that you'll stay with us for the next half hour. Before getting to our topic tonight, let's take a look at the latest medical news. Could vasectomies cause heart disease? Men with cardiovascular problems should be wary of vasectomies, a researcher says. A biochemist at the University of Nebraska Medical Center bases his advice on studies that show vasectomized animals have a higher rate of heart disease than those who have not had the operation. But so far, human tests indicate no increased risk. About half of all men who receive vasectomies produce sperm antibodies, which some scientists believe increases the risk of heart disease. However, even if a danger is shown to exist, the drug dexamethasone may stop it. The drug has already prevented the formation of sperm antibodies in vasectomized monkeys. In 6 months, researchers should know the drug's effects on 30 vasectomized men. Each year, 250,000 vasectomies are performed in the United States. About 7 million men in the U.S. have had the operation. In another medical news story, hanging upside down may be hazardous to your health. Hanging upside down in gravity inversion boots raises blood pressure alarmingly and may be dangerous for some users, researchers say. Blood pressure rose an average of 30 points when 20 male healthy students were inverted. About 1 million men and women across the U.S. use gravity boots to ease back pain. The cost of these boots ranges from $80 to $1,500. My final news story tonight concerns a new non-surgical treatment for kidney stones. Of 1 million kidney stone sufferers across the USA, about 20,000 undergo surgery every year. 95% could get results at least as good from a new non-surgical treatment, according to a urologist at the University of Minnesota Medical Center. A needle is passed through the patient's back into the kidney. The needle tract is then enlarged so doctors can look at the kidney with instruments and remove small stones. Larger stones are dissolved with insulated wires sparked by electricity or ultrasonic waves. Recovery takes 1 week compared to 3 to 6 weeks for surgical patients. My health tip for tonight concerns the best way to get over coffee addiction. Many people could feel much better in their daily lives if they could break the habit of drinking 10 to 20 cups of coffee each day. Suggestions to kick the coffee habit have recently been published in a new book. These suggestions include: begin by selecting the per day. Friday is the best, giving you the weekend to go through caffeine withdrawal. If you start to feel ill, then see your doctor. Gradually reduce coffee intake before you quit. Avoid rituals associated with coffee. Instead of a coffee break, go for a walk. Stock up on non-caffeinated beverages, such as herbal teas and fruit juices. Don't drink decaffeinated coffee. It tastes too much like the real thing. Accept your body's rhythms. If you're tired in the afternoon, don't feel compelled to speed yourself up. And finally, expect occasional desires for caffeine after you quit, especially when you're tired or under pressure. Perhaps these suggestions will make it easier for you to kick the coffee habit. Now, on with the Medical Explorer. Did you know that there's a major medical facility located less than 1/2 hour's drive from downtown Marysville that serves military personnel from as far away as Oregon? The United States Air Force operates a health care center at Beale that houses sophisticated equipment and services that are unique in the continental United States. Let's take that drive past Yuba College on North Beale Road and visit Beale Air Force Base.
Good morning, sir.
I'm Dr. Peppercorn. We're here to shoot the Medical Explorer today.
All right, sir, fine. Why don't you go ahead and pull over to the side of the road here and come on up and bring your driver's license, and I'll issue you a visitor's pass.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Well, the Medical Explorer has finally made it to Beale Air Force Base. We're going to take you inside and show you the Medical Support Division, the medical people that here support the pilots and the crews and the people that live and work at Beale Air Force Base. We're going to see some very interesting, extremely high technology things today, including the Physiological Support Division and the extremely advanced quality of medical care that they provide here at the Beale Hospital. Let's go in now to Beale Air Force Base. I'm standing now in front of the United States Air Force Hospital Beale with the commander, Colonel Anderson. Thank you for being with us today, Colonel Anderson.
It's my pleasure, Dr. Peppercorn.
Could you tell us a little bit about the role of your hospital?
Yes, USAF Hospital Beale exists primarily to support the mission of the 9th Strategic Reconnaissance Wing, and in addition, the tenant organizations that are also here at Beale Air Force Base. The other activities that we perform basically revolve around medical services provided to the dependents and the retirees and their dependents, as well as the active duty population here.
Great. Well, maybe we should go inside. What do you think?
Certainly. Please
Great.
follow me.
Thank you. Colonel Anderson, how exactly does the U.S. Air Force Hospital Beale differ from a civilian hospital?
Well, actually, we are quite similar to civilian hospitals. In fact, I represent the Surgeon General, who is the board of directors of the hospital, the Chief of Hospital Services, who corresponds to the Chief of Staff. And so we're very similar to a hospital in the civilian life and makeup.
Population are you serving? You're not just serving the active military people, are you?
No, actually, we serve approximately 21,000 people in the area. These include not only the active duty military, but their dependents, the retired population, and their dependents. So you can see that this includes quite a few folks in the local area.
I understand that you also have an excellent working relationship with the doctors in the community. How does that work out?
Well, we have several programs. One is called a supplemental care program, which we provide directly from our funds here in the hospital. And the other is the Champus program, which is an operation of the DOD, the Department of Defense. And through these two programs, we try to offer complete health care for all of our recipients.
I understand a major function of the hospital is the disaster readiness to support the military function of the hospital.
Yes. This is our primary reason for being here, and that is the contingency readiness. And we spend a lot of time in this. For instance, we have exercises, we have training periods, we do immunizations on a frequent basis in order to keep ourselves ready for any contingency. And we're not just talking about wartime contingencies, we're talking about peacetime disasters that could occur in the area. And so our prime job is to be ready.
Oh, it certainly seems that way. We just read in the paper a while ago about a plane that was having trouble, and I noticed that you were always knowing what was going on. There was constant communication between you and the tower. Is that the way it always is?
Yes, it is. We maintain an extremely close working relationship with the entire wing. As the wing's chief medical deputy, my job is to support the 9th Wing commander.
Well, I'm interested now in seeing some other areas of the hospital, so why don't we head out and take a look around?
Certainly. Why don't we follow me? We'll go over and look at some of the readiness areas and the health education areas, and then some of the other areas of the hospital that you're familiar with.
Thank you. Colonel Anderson, I noticed we just walked into a room that says library on it. What goes on here?
Well, of course, the library is set up for study facilities for the professionals. However, at this time, what we have set up is our health educational coordinator. I'd like at this time to introduce her to you. This is Captain Naomi Beale.
Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. I'm Naomi Beale, and some of the pamphlets and equipment we have set up in here is what we use for our health education on our inpatients and our outpatients. These booklets are Brady films, and they're supplied to us through Air Force means, and we teach people about heart attack, diabetics about giving their own insulin, hypoglycemia, hyperglycemia, things like this, and you can see that we have many booklets and many different topics to choose from.
So it appears that when a patient would come in the hospital, you would not just let them get their medical care and leave. You'll actually spend time with them. You and your staff would spend time with them and educate them about the different conditions they have.
Right. We feel that this is part of the medical care, that unless they know about their condition, that they can't properly take care of themselves at home, and this is an integral part of health care in the military setting.
Are you also having different meetings, group meetings going on, things such as that, to educate people?
We haven't set up, well, no, I take that back. We do. We have some group meetings. Sometimes they have prenatal education meetings, and this is done through the OBGYN department. One of the nurses from there will teach the patients before they start their prenatal care. So there are different places in the hospital that are doing different group meetings.
Thank you very much. It looks like you do a very good job. Education is one of the major things we really need to do with our patients. I think that improves the actual relationship between the medical community and the patient population.
What I'd like to do at this time is show you something in the readiness area, which, as I emphasized, is our most important area.
Great. Why don't we head out that way then?
Okay. Well, Dr. Peppercorn, I hope at this time to be able to show you what we do in the readiness area. I'd like to introduce you to Sergeant Ray, and Sergeant Ray is in charge of our CPR section, and perhaps he can tell you a little bit about what we do with regard to CPR training.
Well, sir, first of all of our hospital personnel are required to have annual CPR, basic CPR course, and then an annual recertification course. And these folks here are undergoing a basic recertification course today. They are two of our people who work on the inpatient unit. They're demonstrating to Lieutenant Ritchie over here their ability to perform CPR on the mannequins.
Are you giving other types of instruction besides CPR to your staff during the year?
Yes, sir, we are. We have a variety of training going on here. We have chemical and biological warfare training. We have medical first aid training. Training this is referred to, and a variety of other in-service and education, health and education programs going on to keep our nurses and techs current in what's happening in the medical world today of nursing.
Thank you very much. Again, as Colonel Anderson told us, this reinforces this continuous readiness that you were telling us about.
It is our prime consideration.
Right. And where are we moving on to next now?
At this point, I think I'd like to let you see some of the more routine hospital activities, and we'll give you a new guide.
Okay, fine.
Okay. Peppercorn, I thought you'd like to get an opportunity to see our inpatient service, and this is our multi-service unit. I'd like to reintroduce you to Dr. Davis, our Chief of Hospital Services. Dr. Davis?
Hi. Okay. This is, you've met Captain Don Hudson before. He's one of our flight surgeons, and he's going to continue on with the tour of the rest of the hospital.
I notice walking around here that I'm totally lost already. This is a very large facility. How many beds do you actually have here?
We have 30 beds, and we can increase to, what's 35?
35 or 40.
40 beds in a contingency situation.
And later, after we see the inpatient units, we're going to see the clinic, which is even a larger facility.
That's correct. That's correct.
So, sir, why don't we go on and begin our tour?
All right.
Hey, Dr. Peppercorn, as you can see, this is a typical hospital room, like a hospital room you'd find in any civilian hospital. We have approximately 28 to 32 doctors here, depending on our manning strength. They all have admitting privileges here, and depending on the specialty, the rooms are configured accordingly. We have OBGYN, pediatrics, internal medicine, flight medicine, and family practice.
And surgery.
And surgery.
And general surgery.
The majority of our admissions come from the family practice service. That's the largest service in the hospital.
Now, I understand you also have consultation occasionally with outside physicians. Is that true? Or?
Yes, we do, particularly on orthopedic surgery and cases like that.
And I noticed there was even a reserve officer was walking through here. I think a dentist from our community was just over here. Are there reserve officers, medical officers that come over occasionally?
Reserve officers come here on a periodic basis. They rotate in and out, sometimes in surgery, sometimes in ophthalmology, which is what we have now, and in other specialties too. It's mainly used to augment manning here.
I see. I remember there was the potential disaster a while ago where a plane had trouble landing, and I understand the medical department gets involved every time that happens. They're always in touch. Does a member of the staff here go out to the flight line when that happens?
Yes, every time. That's primarily the job of flight medicine, which is my specialty. And in that particular incident you're talking about was in the primary ambulance. What we have is a completely developed disaster response system, and that's run from flight medicine. And we are there at the flight line at the time of the incident.
Very impressive. I would like now to see the clinic area. Could you take us there?
Sure.
Go ahead. Boy, this is an impressive, this must be a minor surgery room, is that right?
That's exactly correct. This is our minor surgery room. It's located in the center of kind of our group practice area. It's technically a closed group practice. We serve approximately 250-mile radius that patients will come from to be served at Beale.
That's an incredible size area to cover. There are no other facilities north of here for quite a distance.
North of here in particular, there's no military facilities for quite a distance.
So retired Air Force people who might live in Reading may come here, is that?
Yes, they do. Our retired load runs about 10 to 12% of the patients seen here.
Great. And how many doctors, again, work in the clinic area?
In this particular clinic area, about 24.
Quite a number.
Yes.
And all these are full-time military physicians, is that correct?
That's correct.
Another important aspect of service of the Beale Air Force Base Hospital and surrounding facilities is the Department of BioEnvironmental Engineering. With me right now is Captain Seeley, who's chief of that department. Thank you for being with us. Could you begin by explaining to us what your department actually does?
Well, there's three main functions of our department. The first being industrial hygiene. An industrial hygiene program, we monitor the industrial work environment in 90 industrial shops at Beale Air Force Base. And we evaluate the noise, chemical, and radiation exposures to the working station to ensure there is not a health hazard created in the environment. And we're now in the dental lab, and we're doing some monitoring right now. And a couple of things that we are monitoring for is like carbon monoxide. We have an equalizer over here that's monitoring the carbon monoxide that's put out from the oven that's above it. And we're also monitoring for methyl merthaculate, which you can probably smell some right now. It's we're monitoring on this passive dosimeter, which will collect that after the 8-hour day and send it off to our laboratory. And based on what the laboratory results are, we'll compare standards, and if we have a potential problem in here, then our primary objective is to get rid of that through environmental controls, ventilation systems, or whatever's necessary in workplace practices to control that.
So the technicians doing their different jobs around the base will be wearing these different meter devices, and that one there will actually pick up particles or vapors of this compound, and you can take that, actually record the exact amount you've been exposed to?
That's correct.
And there's another one that she's wearing here, something up on the neck. Does that hook around thing down here?
Okay, yes. Here we have it's a noise dosimeter, which this picks up the noise she's exposed to over the 8-hour day, and it stores that information here. At the end of the day, we evaluate that, and we'll come up with the average 8-hour noise exposure that she was exposed to during her normal duty day. We compare that with the standard, and then if there would be a problem, we would recommend either a process change or possibly wearing hearing protection.
The purpose of all this is to protect the individual, to protect her hearing. So 10, 20 years from now, she won't have trouble hearing things. That's right.
That's correct.
I guess a lot of people listening to rock music have one of those as well, don't you think?
There's potential problems. That's it.
Tell us about other work that you do here.
Okay. two other areas we get involved with. One is the community environment program, where we monitor the base drinking water to ensure it's safe to drink, meets all state and federal requirements. And we also monitor the pollution sources on base. Any streams that pass through the base, we monitor as they come on and leave the base to ensure that a pollution problem is not entering the base and that we degrading the quality of the stream as it leaves the base.
So an example might be if someone would spill some chemicals up in the mountains and your water source is from the mountains into that stream, you'd be checking those streams to see that water would never be used on the base.
That's correct.
Now, I understand another division of this area is environmental health. It's actually a different area. What actually goes on there?
Okay, well, in environmental health is concerned, we deal with them primarily from our industrial hygiene program. When we get the results of our industrial workplace monitoring, we send those results to them, and if we can't engineer a problem away, why we will recommend protective equipment. And that may be a respirator if it's a chemical hazard, or maybe ear defenders, earplugs if it's a noise hazard. And they're responsible for fit testing that protective equipment and for training the individual workers on the properties and the way to protect themselves from either a contact hazard or from a breathing hazard from the different chemicals.
Now, I understand that disaster responsiveness is an extremely important part of BASE's function. You do in that area.
Well, as far as our disaster response, whenever there would be a major accident, we would respond to an entry control point, which is some safe distance away from the accident scene, and we monitor that area and work with the base officials to ensure that there is not a problem where, I guess if you want to say the radiation experts in the base, we have monitoring equipment where we'll check the site and monitor the people that go into the accident site to ensure that they are not overexposed to, say, a radiation hazard or a chemical hazard at the actual accident site.
So you have all the sophisticated equipment to pick up the little measurements of radiation.
Yes, we check it on the ground as well as we take airborne samples as well to ensure folks aren't overexposed.
From airplanes you do that, or would that be?
No, we do it from on the ground. Everything we do, it's an airborne sampler that we set up on a stand and pull air through it, and then we check what we've collected to see if there's any radioactive particles.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
My pleasure.
I was extremely impressed to learn today of the immense size and quality dental service department here at the Beale Hospital. I'm with now the chief of the dental service, Dr. Skaer. Dr. Skaer, would you tell us about the size and function of your department?
Yes, Bob, I'd be glad to. We, of course, in today's population, we have 16 dental operatories, dental treatment rooms, if you will, and 11 dentists. We have also 4 hygienists who are serving the same population. Our patient workload here is approximately 2,000 patients a month, slightly more than that perhaps, which of course totals 24,000 or more a year. We, in addition to this dental treatment that we're providing the patient, are medical auxiliaries, which means that in the case of a medical emergency, casualty exercise, or an actual mass casualty, we would be serving as medical auxiliary personnel. We receive monthly training on this, giving general anesthesia, administering IV sedation, IV medications, and intubations, and that sort of thing.
You also, I noticed, are making dentures down here.
Oh, yes.
Is that part of your department?
We have one specialist in the clinic who is a prosthodontist, and of course that's a prosthodontist's job, is to make dentures and crowns and bridges, this sort of thing, artificial appliances.
I see. What is your role regarding the dependents of the military personnel?
Okay, for dependents, we are treating them for emergency conditions only, and that includes such things as toothaches, broken teeth, abscessed teeth, anything that's causing pain or discomfort to the patient.
Thank you very much.
Yes, you're welcome.
The acting hospital administrator is Captain McMahon, and I'd like to ask you, Captain, what happens when patients need other facility health care that can't be handled here?
Okay, for medical problems that can't be handled at this facility, we have a lot of options to us. We can either send them to the local community physicians through the clinics and hospitals in the local area on either the Champus program or a supplemental care type program that we have, or we can transport them to other military treatment facilities, such as Travis, which is an Air Force Medical Center, Letterman Army Medical Center, or Oak Knoll, which is a Navy Medical Center. So as you can see, we cross lines through to other uniformed service hospitals. We just don't stay within the purview of the Air Force medical treatment system. We also have available to us an air evacuation unit that flies out of Travis Air Force Base that we can transport patients to any other medical center in the United States. And we do that for our more severe illnesses.
So in that case, they would send out plane, helicopter, etc. from Travis here to pick up someone and transport them to that facility?
Well, not exactly. We normally transport by a private ambulance, military ambulance, or a military vehicle of some sort to Travis. Sometimes if the patient is ambulatory, they can drive themselves. It's just if the medical condition warrants and there's nothing in the area that can handle it, or if it's a long-term care type thing, they're transported to Travis in that way. Periodically, if we have a real emergency arise, normally it happens with newborns, we will have a helicopter dispatched to this base, transport them to either Travis, sometimes to a civilian facility like the medical center, University of California Davis Medical Center in Sacramento.
We've had programs on the Medical Explorer discussing tertiary neonatal intensive care. I've seen that before. That is very interesting. Lieutenant Sawyer has joined us. Would you tell us a little about what Lieutenant Sawyer is?
Yes, Lieutenant Sawyer is our Director of Medical Resource Management. He deals the financial programs, manpower, and management studies and analysis for the hospital. Dan, if you'd like a few words about it.
Right. Within my office, we deal with the budget for the hospital. We also deal with, as Gary mentioned, with the management analysis within the hospital. Also, we deal with the inspections. We're not a JCAH accredited hospital. The Air Force had a policy before of 50 beds or larger being JCAH accredited. We do get inspected by a health services management inspection team that comes. In their inspection, they are inspecting us also on JCAH standards. And in the last inspection, we were awarded a certificate saying that we had met those certain standards by JCAH. So that's another program also that we deal with in the office. Also within the office, we deal with other management training techniques. We track inpatient outload and other workload figures that get reported to our headquarters.
Thank you both very much for joining me today on this Medical Explorer program. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Dr. Peppercorn.
Thank you.
I've been very impressed with the facilities here, and I wish that the entire community could come out and see them. It's really a fascinating medical operation. They cover areas that you just wouldn't imagine. And hopefully we'll be able to return again to some other interesting activities that they do use here at the United States Air Force Hospital, Beale. Again, I'd like to express my thanks to Colonel Anderson and his staff at the United States Air Force Hospital, Beale, for taking time out of their busy schedules and allowing us to explore their medical facilities. The Air Force has many opportunities to offer if you're interested in medical and paramedical careers. You can call the local recruiting office for more information on these very interesting programs. I'd like to invite you to write to me at the Marysville Medical Clinic with your suggestions for areas and people that you'd like to see on this program. The Medical Explorer is a public service program, and I really do want to hear from you with your comments and suggestions. Please write to me at 800 3rd Street, Marysville 95901. In my next program, the Medical Explorer will take you behind the scenes of more interesting frontiers of medical care practices in Yuba City and Marysville. Till next time, I'm Dr. Robert Peppercorn, your Medical Explorer.